Let's go ahead and review our study guide. How do we convert a decimal to a percent? Multiply it by 100, or you could have said move that decimal 2 places. For example, what did you get for this one here? You should have gotten 56.7%. Now to go from a percent to a decimal, put it over 100. So for example, if we had 45.7%, what did you get for this example? Remember, this is like 45.7 out of 100, but we can't leave that decimal in there. So I multiply the top and the bottom by 10. 457 thousandths. Let's go ahead and check our table. Remember, you needed to simplify your fraction to the lowest terms if possible. On my first one here, to make this fraction to a decimal, I'm going to multiply it here, and I get 2 4/10. So let me write it there. 2 4/10. You write it how you read it. To go from the decimal to the percent, multiply it by 100, you should get 240%. We're multiplying by 100 there. My next one, 8 3/100. So I'm going to write it how I read it. 8 3/100. What did you get now? Let's go the other way. What did you get when you made 8 3/100 to a percent here? You should have gotten 803%, because it's like we moved that decimal once, twice over. My next one, 30%. 30% as a fraction here would be 30/100. This is one where I could simplify down to 3/10. So when I write it as my decimal, I should write it as 3/10. Do I need the 0 on the end? Yes or no? No, you do not. 3/8. This is one that we can't get to a denominator of 100. So you need to go ahead and divide. What did you get here when you divided? You should have gotten 375 thousandths. And if we put that into a percent, we move that decimal 2 times. So your percent should be 37.5%. Next one, 5/100ths. What does that simplify to? Here, simplify this one down. You should divide the top by 5 and the bottom by 5, and you get 1/20th. Don't forget to simplify if you can. And for percent, 5%. My next one, 2/25ths. I'm going to get that to a denominator of 100. Multiply the top and the bottom, 800ths. And I move that decimal 2 times. And what does your percent equal? 8%. Let's compare here. So you could make this decimal into a percent, which would be 40%. Then I can see this is definitely bigger. My next one here, I'm going to make my decimal to a percent. I can see 78% is bigger. What did you get for 11? Which one was bigger? You should have made this into 4/10. Now remember, there's more than one way to compare. If you made these both into decimals, we can see 2/5 is definitely bigger. My next one here, I have the same denominator already, and I know 7/20 is larger. So 7/20 is bigger than 3/20. Let's look at our next one here. When we're comparing these and listing them from least to greatest, I'm going to take a look at a third there. If I need to make a third into a decimal, I need to divide. What type of decimal does 1/3 give you? When you divide, what do you get here? If it goes on forever, it's a repeating decimal. So here, I'm just going to stretch it out so I could see. And I know this is 0.73, so I can see 1/3 is definitely the least, and then 73%, and then 0.75. If you wrote these in the new form that you converted them to, that's okay. Okay, I'm going to do the same for 7/9. When you divide 7/9, what do you get? That's right, you also get a repeating decimal here. So I'm gonna stretch it out. I know this is a whole, so that's definitely gonna be the largest. And remember, this as a decimal, I'm gonna move that decimal back 2 places, 965 thousandths, right? If I need to compare these two, I'm going to add one more digit there. I can see 7/9 is the smallest, 96.5% next, and then 1.98. Let's check my next one. 1/4 is 25% or 0.25. 4% is 4/100ths, and I know 4/100ths is tiny. And then I have 4/10. Remember, you can always add a what to the end to compare your numbers. 0, it doesn't change the value. So 4% would come first, 1/4, 0.4. Okay, let's take a look at our word problems. Mrs. Feynman spent 48 minutes grading papers last night. What fraction of an hour did she spend grading? Write your fraction in simplest form. So remember, how many minutes are in an hour? 60. And then just don't forget to simplify here. Your 48 over 60. You could divide the top and the bottom both by 4, and we would get 12 over 15. And then I can go even one more time there and divide the top and the bottom both by 3, and I get 4/5 of an hour. Whew, that's a lot of time grading papers. Okay, 7 out of 8 students completed their math space assignment. Let's see what percent that is. How do we find that? You first should have written the fraction 7/8. How am I going to make my fraction into a percent? I need to divide. If you didn't divide yet, go ahead and divide. Tell me what you get. When you divided here, you should have gotten 875 thousandths. and 875 thousandths, the percent, I would move that decimal 2 times, 87.5%. Let's look at our next one. It's a 46% chance of rain today. Write that as a decimal. 46. First, I'm going to write it as a fraction. And now, what is that as a decimal? Yep, you should have gotten 0.46. My final question. Ms. Soresco spent $46.27 on dinner last night and left a 20% tip. What is the total amount she spent? Okay, we did a lot of work with our tip here. So remember, 20%, I'm going to make it into a decimal, and I'm going to multiply it, by my total dinner. You go ahead and multiply yours. Tell me, what did you get first just for the tip when you multiplied these numbers out here? What did you get when you multiplied? Once you got your answer to multiply, move that decimal once, twice, 3, 4 times. And remember, we round to the nearest penny. $9.25 was my tip. If I need to find the total amount on the bill, I would have to take my dinner and add my tip to it. Tell me, what did you get when you added those up? You should have gotten $55.52 for your total. Okay, now that you're finished, you need to do your math space. That will help prepare you for your test. Thanks for watching.